Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm back. Regular programming, I guess you can say. Blake did the last two by himself, but I did give him my picks. With that said, let's jump into it. It's a pretty good series here, but in the American League, Baltimore and Toronto, they split. Detroit ends up taking 2 of 3 from Texas. Seattle took 2 of 3 from Oakland. Kansas City and Cleveland got postponed in that last game, so we're going to call it a split here. And then the Yankees in Minnesota. No surprise there. The Yankees sweep Minnesota because that's what the Yankees do to the Twins. Go ahead and go over the National League, Blake.
Yeah, Pittsburgh took care of business against the Dodgers at home, taking 2 of 3. The Mets swept Washington. In Washington, Philadelphia swept Milwaukee. Really close series there. Could have went either way there. Arizona took 2 of 3 from San Francisco, and Cincinnati swept Colorado. Not much of a surprise there, but yeah, that Milwaukee Philly series was really good.
Yeah. And then the interleague, you had the Cardinals and Houston. Houston ends up taking 2 of 3. And then you had Tampa taking 2 of 2 against Miami, Atlanta and Boston. They split the White Sox and the Cubs. The White Sox have lost 14 in a row now. They lost to the Red Sox tonight. We'll get there in a sec. Then my Angels finally got some wins at home. The worst team at home in the league. They swept the San Diego Padres in a lot of close games. So, hmm, I mean, not gonna get that excited because they're still like 14 games back at 500. But it was a good moment. We finally had a good moment. So
There you
let's
go.
look into this week. There are some 4 game sets that started tonight. First one, Boston, Chicago. We brought it up. It was Tanner Houck versus Jake Woodford. The Red Sox blew out the White Sox tonight. Tomorrow will be Cooper Criswell versus Garrett Crochet. Then Brian Bayo versus Nick Nastrini, and to be determined versus to be determined. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and go with Boston. We did make our picks before tonight's game was played.
Yep.
But with that said, I mean, the White Sox do have Garrett Crochet on the mound tomorrow. If there's ever a time to break this losing streak, I would say it's tomorrow. But I think that's the best they're gonna do. It's a 4 game set. We could get a split here, but I think Boston will at least take 3 or 4.
Yeah, I agree. I'm gonna take the Red Sox, and I was just reading up. The White Sox broke a franchise record for the longest winning streak, or longest losing streak, pardon me, in a season, 1924. That's how bad this team has been. It's been historically brutal. Whenever you're breaking records from 1924, you know you're just not a good baseball team. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if this one was a sweep.
Yep, absolutely. Next up, we have the Toronto Blue Jays taking on the Oakland A's. It'll be Chris Bassett versus Hagen Harris, Kevin Gausman versus Luis Medina, and to be determined versus to be determined. The Blue Jays, they lost the first 2 games of the series to the Baltimore Orioles and then end up taking the last 2 games and splitting that series. I think that's a good sign if you're a Blue Jays fan, which Blake is.
Yeah.
With that said, they are playing Oakland, and I don't really like the pitching matchups here for Oakland. I don't know anything about Hagen Harris, and Luis Medina has bounced around the league. So
Yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and go with Toronto in this one, but honestly, wouldn't be surprised if Oakland hung in there just offensively.
Mhm.
They do have Chris Bassett and Gosman on the mound, so they should go ahead and take care of the series.
Yeah, I'm gonna go to the Jays too. Yeah, like you mentioned, they got outscored 17-3 the first 2 games against Baltimore. Rebound, almost blew it in the ninth today. But that's big to get a split there, especially the way the first 2 games went. Vlad Jr. is hitting, I believe it's 363 the last 35 games, so he's finally arrived about time. So, hopefully that gets some other people going. But yeah, I'll go with the Jays here.
Next up, we have the Baltimore Orioles heading into Tampa to take on the Rays. It'll be Cole Irvin versus Aaron Savali, Grayson Rodriguez versus Taj Bradley, and Corbin Burns versus Zach Littell. Tampa did just win in a 2 game series with Miami, but Baltimore's just the better team. They do have Corbin Burns in this series. They got to win one between Irvin and Rodriguez. I feel pretty confident in that. They are on the road, the Orioles are, but I think the Baltimore Orioles will probably take this series.
Yeah, I got Baltimore as well. They're just such a deep team. Like if it's not Henderson, it's Rutschman. O'Hearn comes off the bench today, hits a pinch hit home run to get it within one. Like they push a lot of buttons right. I mean, it's a well-oiled machine, and it's a super deep lineup. So yeah, I'll go Baltimore here.
Yeah. Next up, we have the Seattle Mariners heading into Kansas City to take on the Royals. It'll be Bryce Miller versus Dustin Lynch, Luis Castillo versus Alec Marsh, and George Kirby versus Cole Reagans. We did contenders or pretenders for both of these teams. Go check out those videos and kind of see where we sit, whether these teams are contenders or pretenders. But with that said, Kansas City, they've won a lot of games at this point. I thought it was just going to be a hot start, and now we're getting deep into the summer. Not
Mhm.
deep into the summer, but almost heading into July in a couple of weeks. If they stay
Yeah.
this pace, so it looks like they're going to be buying at the trade deadline. With that said, I am going to go ahead and take the Royals. If you go watch that Mariners video, we saw how bad their offense has been. Jorge Polanco under 200, Mitch Garver under 200. Their best players, Cal Raleigh's batting 205.
Yeah.
With that said, go check out those videos, but I am going to go with the Kansas City Royals at home in the series.
I'm gonna go Seattle strictly off the pitching. I mean, you got Miller, Castillo, and Kirby in this series. Like it's gonna be tough to beat a guy like Cole Reagans in that third game, but I feel like this series could be very low scoring because the pitching matchups are very good. I'm
Yep.
gonna go Seattle though.
Rounding out the American League, we have the Houston Astros heading into Anaheim to take on the Angels. It'll be Framber Valdez versus Griffin Canning, Hunter Brown versus Tyler Anderson, and Justin Verlander versus Patrick Sandoval. Angels just swept the Padres. Outside of that it hasn't been very good, but they did take 2 of 3 from Houston in Houston. Framber Valdez did pitch in that game. He had a 6-1 lead, I believe, and blew it. That was a crazy game. Justin Verlander historically just owns the Angels, and so does Valdez for the most part. So I was very surprised by that. I think Framber will probably get his revenge in this series, and Justin Verlander, again, he owns the Angels. So I'm going to go ahead and go with the Astros in this series.
Yeah, I'll go the Astros too, but if the Angels do get that first game, they could win the series. Hunter Brown's been brutal this year. Like he's been one of the worst starters on that staff. So if they somehow do find a way to squeak out a win against Framber, the Angels could win this series. But I'm gonna go Houston here. Um, I don't really trust the Angels right now, to be honest. That's all. But
Vibes
hats
are
off. They
high.
had a good series versus the Padres. They played well.
Yeah, vibes are high. We're just riding off vibes. All right. Heading to the National League, we have the Cubs taking on the Cincinnati Reds. It'll be Hunter Green versus Javier Assad. Actually, it was, I believe,
Yeah,
unless that game got
they won
postponed.
8-4. They won 8-4 Cincy.
Since he did, okay. And then it'll be Justin Steele versus Nick Lodolo, Ben Brown versus Andrew Abbott, and Shota Imanaga versus Frankie Montas. I did go with the Cubs here. They've been the more consistent team. I do like the Reds on paper. They're explosive. Um, as Blake just said, they scored 8 tonight. They do have Nick Lodolo on the mound tomorrow against Justin Steele. That should be a good matchup. And Shota Imanaga is coming off 2 tough starts against Frankie Montas. So if the Cubs can win game 2 and 4, maybe they have that one in game 3. Ben Brown's been electric. We don't want to not give him his props, but I did go with the Cubs before the series started.
Yeah, I'm gonna go the Cubs as well. Man, Ellie De La Cruz just is electrifying. It was his 1 year anniversary today since he got called up, hit a moonshot homer, just steals a bunch of bags. I like the pitching matchups for Chicago in this one. Obviously to win the series, they gotta win 3 of the next 3, right? So that'd be tough, but yeah, I'll go with the Cubs for sure.
Next up, we have the Atlanta Braves taking on the Washington Nationals. It was Reynaldo Lopez versus Mitchell Parker. What do we got there? Who won that one? Do you know?
I gotta check.
I'll go through this and then we'll figure it out. Chris Sale versus Jake Irvin, Charlie Morton versus Mackenzie Gore, and then Max Fried versus DJ Hers. Obviously, I think anybody would pick the Atlanta Braves to beat the Nats, especially with how the Nats have played of late.
Yeah.
But with that said, the Braves haven't been playing their best ball either. So it's one of those things where they're just the better team. Austin Riley hasn't really clicked thus far. Obviously, Acuna is done for the season. So we'll see what this Atlanta Braves team is made of. Do we know who won tonight?
Yeah, it's 5-2 Atlanta.
5-2 Atlanta as it speaks, or
Yeah. No,
it's
it's
over.
final, yeah.
Final.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, Atlanta up 1-0. What do you got?
I'll go Atlanta as well. It's going to be interesting to see as this like season goes on how they replace Acuna's production. I know they've done it in the past very well and they ended up winning that World Series, but that's just a huge bat to replace. I mean, the guy stole what 70 bags last year, so it'll be interesting to see kind of what they do. But yeah, I will go with Atlanta in this one.
Alrighty. Next up, we have the Colorado Rockies and the St. Louis Cardinals. It was Cal Quantrill versus Sonny Gray. When I checked it earlier,
Yeah, it's
the
3-2.
Cardinals were losing,
Yeah,
and it
3-2
ended.
Colorado won today. Yeah.
Alrighty. Then it was Austin Gomber versus Lance Lynn, Ryan Feltner versus Kyle Gibson, and last one will be Ty Blotch versus Andre Palante. I did go with the Cardinals in this one. They have been playing pretty good baseball. They got back up to 500 at one point, but they did lose the Sonny Gray start. So I'm starting to be like, are they going to win the next two of three? But it is the Rockies and they suck. So they should have a good chance.
Man, the Rockies have been spoiling our records lately, man. Like it's been crazy. They've been just winning a
They
lot
still
of series.
suck. They still suck.
They do still suck for sure, but they've been spoiling us a little bit here. But yeah, I'll go St. Louis in this one as well. Obviously, it's not a deal to lose that Sonny Gray start. Cal Quantrill pitched really well today, so that was good to see.
Next up with the D-backs versus the Padres, it was Slade Sassoni versus Randy Vasquez, and I just looked. The D-backs won 4-3 in that one. Tomorrow will be Brandon Pfaadt versus Michael King. Ryan Nelson versus Matt Waldron will be game three, and then to be determined versus to be determined will round it out in game four. I did go with the D-backs in this series. Obviously, the Padres just got swept by the Angels. Manny Machado was pulled from the game.
Yep.
Some type of lower body um, issues yesterday. So, yeah, I mean, I think the D-backs have been playing decent ball the last 10, and the Padres have just been so up and down. I'm really looking forward to that Brandon Pfaadt versus Michael King. I definitely probably won't be able to catch it live, but I'll definitely be watching that condensed game on YouTube.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. I'm gonna go San Diego here. They were down 3-0 early, battled back, tied at 3-3. They ended up taking the lead, I believe, in the seventh. Arizona just got Ginkgo back, so that's a big add to a struggling bullpen for them. So yeah, obviously tough blow losing a guy like Manny Machado. Hopefully that's not too long term on that front, but I'm gonna go with the Padres in this one.
Yep. Rounding out the National League, we have the Phillies versus the Mets. It's a Mets home game, but it is going to be played in the UK. Uh, the pitching matchups are to be determined for both days. They haven't came out yet, at least when we're recording this. But that said, I can't believe that I didn't know that they were going to play in the UK this weekend.
I didn't know either.
I feel like the MLB hasn't promoted this at all,
No.
which is very, very strange. But yeah, they're in the UK. I didn't even know that that was going to happen. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take the Phillies. They're the better team. They're the best team in the National League, tied with the Yankees for best in the league. So, and they're playing the Mets, who again they suck. So,
I'm gonna go with the Phillies too. I was tripping today. I'm going through series and I'm like, I got 14. Where's the 15th series? And then it said London series, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know that. So yeah, I am with you on the MLB on that. Like, not great marketing that we both found out today that they're in London. That's supposed to be a way that you grow the game. And if we're finding out today when the game's in 2 days, it's not really ideal. But yeah, I'll go the Phillies in this one.
yeah. And don't get offended if I say your team sucks because my team sucks as well. In the interleague, it is the Twins versus the Pirates in Pittsburgh. It'll be Joe Ryan versus Mitch Keller, Simon Woods Richardson versus Quinn Priester, and Bailey Ober versus Jared Jones. Honestly, probably could have went with Pittsburgh in this one with Keller and Jared Jones going, but I did go ahead and go with Minnesota. Um, the Pirates did just have a pretty good series against the Dodgers.
Mhm.
I think they actually won that series. So,
Yeah.
yeah, honestly, I kind of want to change my pick to Pittsburgh. I was gonna go with Minnesota. I'm gonna go with the Pirates. I'm gonna change it. I'm
All
gonna go with
right.
the Pirates.
I'm gonna go Minnesota. They just got Royce Lewis back, hit a pair of home runs against the Yankees. Praying that that guy can stay healthy because he's one of the best players in the league when he's healthy, right? So, it's just been an unfortunate track record injury wise. So hoping that he can stay healthy. But yeah, Richardson's been good to start his career, and obviously you got Joe Ryan in there, but it's big to miss a guy like Paul Skeens. He absolutely shoved it up the Dodgers' ass the other day. So, yeah, I'll go Minnesota in this one.
Next up, we have the Brewers taking on Detroit in Detroit. It'll be to be determined versus to be determined. Freddie Peralta versus Casey Mize, and then Bryce Wilson versus Tariq Skubal. This is another one I'm looking at it like, damn, maybe I should have took Detroit at home. I am gonna go with Milwaukee though. They are the better ball club. Tariq Skubal in game three kind of gives me optimism for Detroit. They've been playing pretty decent ball. But I am gonna go ahead and go with Milwaukee.
I'm gonna go Milwaukee as well. Got Freddie Peralta in middle one. It'd be interesting to see whether it's maybe a guy like Kenta Maeda in that front store or a guy like Cole Olsen, who's been really good to start the season. But I'm gonna go Milwaukee. Milwaukee's got a better offense, and I'll take my chances with that potent offense on Milwaukee.
Next up, we have the series of the weekend. It's the Dodgers taking on the Yankees in New York. Doesn't get better than that. It's
Hmm.
going to be Yoshinobu Yamamoto versus Cody Poteet. I don't know who that is. Gavin Stone versus Nestor Cortez, and Tyler Glasnow versus Luis Hill, who has been a monster on the mound this year. But with that said, I did take the Yankees in this series. I'm going to take the Yankees in this series. Juan Soto got hurt tonight. That kind of kills my vibes
Hmm.
in this one. But Aaron Judge he was batting like 197 4 weeks ago, and now he's batting 297. So, and he's got 21 tanks.
Just 16
So,
homers in the month of May or something crazy.
yeah. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Yankees. They are at home. That played into my decision here. Curious to see how Yamamoto does under the bright lights of New York. Maybe Soto will play tomorrow. Who knows?
Well,
But I'm gonna go ahead and go with the Yankees.
I'm gonna go the Dodgers. It was forearm tightness for Soto, so that's we'll kind of see. It's kind of probably day by day, see how it feels the next couple days. But, um, yeah,
But can he hit?
yeah,
Can he
true,
DH?
true, true.
I mean, Stanton is needs DH, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. Glasnow versus Hill in that final game. Two guys that have been shoving this year. Yeah, I'm gonna go with the Dodgers here. I know it's in Yankee Stadium, and the Yankees play really well there, but I think the Dodgers could win this one. It's gonna be the best series of the week, like you said.
Dodgers have been playing pretty bad baseball of
I
late.
know, I
Not
know.
bad. They're just not getting the
Not
wins.
not up
So.
to their standards. Yeah.
Yeah. So next up, we have the Cleveland Guardians heading into Miami to take on the Marlins. It'll be Logan Allen versus Ryan Weathers, to be determined versus to be determined, and Carlos Carrasco versus Trevor Rogers. I do not like this starting pitching for Cleveland in this series.
No.
Logan Allen's been the worst starter in the league, one of the worst. His fastball, I believe I saw a stat, is getting hit. The batting average against is 403 against his fastball. Not ideal. And
No.
then old Carlos Carrasco. I'm
But
gonna
the
just bank on that the
Miami
Marlins suck.
sucks. Yeah, Miami
Yeah,
sucks.
so I'm banking on that Miami sucks and Cleveland's been hitting. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with the guards in this series, but I don't love the pitching matchups.
Yeah, that's kind of what I based my decision off was the offense, and Miami just really can't hit right now. So, yeah, I'll go Cleveland in this one. I wouldn't be surprised like if this was a sweep, to be honest. Like the offense is leaps and bounds better than Miami.
Next up, we have the San Francisco Giants taking on the Texas Rangers. It'll be Logan Webb versus Michael Lorenzen, to be determined versus to be determined, and to be determined versus to be determined. So I'm gonna go ahead and go with Texas in the series, mainly because they're at home. I know Logan Webb is throwing game one. San Francisco has been playing better baseball than Texas has lately. But at some point, push comes to shove. I just think I like the Rangers offense a little bit better. I know it's been sputtering a little bit. Um, but I am going to go ahead and go with Texas at home.
Yeah, Texas did just lose Seager to injury. I'm not sure if it's serious or not. He left the last game they played, so that's something to keep an eye on for sure. Which is unfortunate because he's been tearing the cover off the baseball. But I'll go San Fran in this one. Obviously, we don't know the last two pitching matchups, so it's kind of blind picking here. But San Francisco's been hitting the ball as of late. Had some good series offensively, so I'll go with the Giants in this one.
Yeah. That's going to do it for this one. My record sits at 150, 108, and 22. I'm 7 games back of Blake. He's 156, 104, and 20. Recapping this week's picks, I have Boston, Toronto, Baltimore, Kansas City, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, St. Louis, Arizona, Philly, and then Minnesota, Milwaukee, New York, Cleveland, and then Texas. And then Blake has Boston, Toronto, Baltimore, Seattle, Houston, Chicago, Atlanta, St. Louis, San Diego, Philly, and then Minnesota, Milwaukee, LA, Cleveland, and the Giants. If you like this video, make sure you hit that like and subscribe. As always, we appreciate you guys for watching and listening, and we'll see you on the next one. Later.